Ho ho ho! Hello boys and girls, welcome to the Wrathvent Calendar, the day-to-day series where I take a look at the entire Wrath of Cortex game from level to level. This series will also include the bosses as well as the secret levels hidden in the 6th warp room. So, hang those stockings and deck the halls, cause we're about to open the presents! To start things off, I will give my overall opinion about this game at the end of this event, which is December 31st. That's right, this Advent Calendar is lasting the whole month. You'll get content between now and New Year's Eve. Guaranteed! Also, if you want to watch the full, unabridged, unedited footage recorded for the series, there will be a link to an unlisted video in the description featuring all the clips. Anyway, let's jump right into our first level. Back in the 90s. Here we are at level 1, Arctic Antics. How fitting that it's snowing. Arctic Antics is a great first level for this game. It gives a bit of an open area to play around with the controls. The controls in this game are kinda iffy, which is something I should never say in a series that is known for having outstanding platformers. Well, anyway, this level consists of regular platforming segments, some icy parts, a bonus path, a crystal, a box gem, the blue gem, and a death route. Wait. What? Yeah, I bet you didn't see that one coming. The first level in this game has a death route. And it's just a normal level with a whole bunch of nitro crates placed in random spots. Also, this level has so many boxes! In fact, you will soon see that every level has a ton of boxes, and it's crazy. Anyways, after the dust clears and we collected the blue gem from the death route, we can finish our trek through Arctic Antics with a special thing known as death warping. Death warping is when you die after collecting a crystal or a gem. When you die, you'll spawn back to the last checkpoint you broke, keeping whatever items you collected. So with that, we are able to complete Arctic Antics, getting the level's crystal and 2 gems in the process. Back to the warp room for the next level. Back in the 90s. Welcome to Tornado Alley, where I will introduce the vehicle counter. Vehicle number 1, the plane. Crash flies a plane around a random field and shoots down tornado generators, all the while avoiding Cortex's minions, who have decided to go all kamikaze because reasons. They don't even try to move out of the way, they just ram right into you and do some 40 to 50 damage. Well, anyway, somehow avoiding everybody and everything, despite this thing moving so damn slow, we destroy the generators, collect the crystal and box gem, and return to the warp room with 2 crystals and 3 gems. Sorry this one was brief, but this is something you'll have to get used to, as there is not a lot to dissect. Back in the 90s. Bamboozled. That's how I felt when I first played this game. We get introduced to vehicle number 2, the Atmosphere. This is actually a thrill. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed controlling this thing, especially in a level such as this. I just wish the level design wasn't just dull and gray. Other than that, this was an enjoyable level. There's so many boxes, cuts, bends, twists, turns, split paths, and more to experience. Or am I just trying to find an excuse for this game not being hot trash? Probably. After having too much fun, we collect the crystal and box gem again, bringing our totals up to 3 and 4. Back to the warp room to prepare for tomorrow's level. And it's a platformer! Back in the 90s. Ah, now we're going places. Level 4 is Wizards and Lizards, a platforming level set in the medieval times. Where have we seen this before? Anyway, pretending Traveler's Tales is completely original in terms of level design, this level includes a shitload of boxes, no surprises there, a bonus level, another crystal, 2 gems, and... another death route? This is the damn first warp room! Why are there 2 death routes in the first 4 levels? This was unheard of in the original trilogy. Back then, the death route wasn't introduced until at least the 2nd warp room, but here we got 2! The good news is we only have 5 death routes. The 5 colored gems. Genius. Enough of that, back to the level. The NPCs are really nothing to be afraid of, like a lot of these guys. Ugh, can the devs use different colors that aren't shades of gray? Let's get out of this medieval waste. Oh, and something about a chase scene. After going through level 4, we now have 4 crystals and 6 gems. Back to the warp room.
Back in the 90s.
This one's interesting. Compactor Reactor starts with vehicle number 3, the minecart. You change tracks by leading left and right. Oh, and there's a ton of nitros. Why? This is level 5! It shouldn't look this intimidating. I almost want to shut this game off now. Thankfully, I didn't, and we returned to platforming. Good. The platforming is as you come to expect in this series of games. Although, the bonus level of all things stumped me for a little while. And that's about it. And again, we get Dolan Gray as the color scheme. I know the beginning of the level was a lot more colorful, but the majority of the level is spent on foot, meaning we have to look at more gray. There is also an alternative path on the minecart tracks, but it requires a yellow gem. Thanks to pre-recording this footage, I can show you what you can expect. Oh, sweet dancing sugar plums, there's a lot of nitros. Alright, we'll just ignore that. Now we've got 5 crystals and 8 gems, and it's on to the first boss. The first boss sees Cortex's super weapon, Crunch Bandicoot, aided by the Earth Elemental Rocco, and the boss fight takes place in the Atmosphere. Wait, I only got to play with this thing once. How am I expected to control this fluently? There are 3 phases to the boss. First, you hit 2 rocks. Next, you hit 3 rocks. Finally, you hit 4 rocks. Quality over quantity, devs. Get that through to your head. Well, 1 warp room is done, and I can honestly say it's not the greatest introduction to a Crash Bandicoot game. In fact, there was so much variety with the vehicles, you would think Bash was ported to the 6th generation. Hopefully things pick back up tomorrow. What's that? Levels are still gray. Ah, shit.
Back in the 90s.
Welcome to the jungle! We got
Well, a lot of gray. And nothing else. Oh, and it's raining. Level 6, Jungle Rumble, kicks off the 2nd warp room, immediately reminding us that we're about to face this elemental.
I'll fix that attitude problem of yours! Leave my levels alone! They're gonna have to hang you out to dry when I get through with you!
Rest in peace, Arlie Ermy. First level he gives us is... meh, really. Everything in this level is just lifeless, gray, and... why did those trees look like that? I thought this game came out on the PS2, not the f***ing Nintendo 64. Oh, by the way, vehicle number 4, the Jeep, has to be controlled with the camera facing Crash rather than behind him, meaning a lot of missing boxes, dying, and possibly throwing your controller. Alright, I'm tired of gray. Give me variety! It's Christmas, for crying out loud. I digress. Anyway, we grabbed the crystal and box gem from this level, bringing our respective totals up to 6 and 9. Let's head back.
Back in the 90s.
Oh boy. I don't like underwater levels. Not in this game, not in any game. Labyrinth Zone, I hate it. World 2-2, I hate it. Ocean World, I hate it. Under Pressure, you get it. So with this underwater level, we get introduced to what might be the worst vehicle in the history of gaming. Vehicle number 5, the Sub. God, this thing is awful. I can't even put into words how irritating it is to control this pathetic excuse for a sub. Obviously, PTSD ensues upon gaining control of this thing. And boy, did I get a lot of it. I need to get out of this level now. I don't even care about the grayness in a level like this. And the sub isn't the only bad thing about the level. The other bad thing is the fact that this camera is too zoomed in to crash. Seriously, there's shooting his ass and then there's putting the camera right in there. I can barely see anything half the time. Torpedoes are inaccurate, camera's too close to crash, moving up and down centers the sub and therefore negates any torpedo inputs, and more gray! Let's just get our crystal and box gem and get the Frosty out of here.
Back in the 90s.
Today we are looking at Banzai Bonsai. Here we get to play as Coco, and no, I'm not counting Coco as a vehicle, unlike another certain YouTuber.
Coco Bandicoot.
This level consists of a bunch of tight platforming, an overhead maze, tiki torches, a red gem route, and a lot of fish. Is there really much else to say? Well, I guess I can talk about how Coco controls. She controls... alright, I suppose. I shouldn't be saying alright when it comes to controls in a platformer, especially a Crash Bandicoot game. Oh, and Coco can't use any of Crash's abilities except for the Super Body Slam and Super Dash. That's a bunch of reindeer chocolate. Why in the name of Kris Kringle would you not allow Coco to use the abilities? Well, I guess it's okay, because I don't want to tiptoe across a line of nitros as Coco anytime soon. But, once again, I digress. Anyway, after grabbing the 2 gems in Crystal, we now have 8 crystals and 12 gems. What's next? Another vehicle? Oh no.
Back in the 90s.
Hey, do you want to get confused? Good news! That sinking feeling is the perfect level for such a need. Like, I seriously have no idea what I'm supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is hold down the A button, then wait until you lock on. Once you lock on, let go of the button, then vehicle number 6, the Firefly, will fire. Why? This makes no sense. It breaks up so much gameplay. Oh, and on top of that, you have to hit each ship 3 times, all the while avoiding the kamikaze NPCs. I do like how this level takes place on an island that's exploding. I really like that. Reminds me of the endings for Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball. Now I wish I was playing that game. Anyway, I have nothing else to say about this level because there's really nothing else to comment on, so let's destroy all the ships and go back to the warp room.
Back in the 90s.
Okay, what the fuck? Why am I starting off this level in the frickin' sub? Just... No. Please. Don't. So, we start this level in the sub, and it's terrible. Let's move on to the boss of this Oh. Wait, there's platforming. Okay, cool. So in the platforming part of the level, we have to navigate around henchmen, evade electric rivers, and spin fish away. This is very original. However, the level as a whole is just really, really gray. There's no color balance, no saturation, no splash of anything whatsoever. I'm sorry, but there should be more than just gray in these levels, especially in a world surrounded by water. You know, the blue stuff that takes up 80% of the Earth. Ugh, let's just get to the boss before I throw up. Oh, I remember you. I remember getting stuck on you and getting many a game over on this fight. Well, now that I'm 21 instead of 8, this boss fight is actually a pushover. When I was little, it took me days to beat him. Now, 1 or 2 tries. That's it. It starts with jumping over beams while platforming. Then you jump over beams, crouch underneath beams, and platform. Next, jumping over beams, crouching under beams, avoiding earthquakes, and more platforming. Lastly, see step 3. Done. Oh look, we get a new ability. The double jump. Cool. Oh yeah, we got sneaky boots in the first warp room, but I didn't mention it because it's pointless. Well, now we're done with the second warp room. You know what that means. No, the series isn't over. There's still 21 days left. Jumping into the third warp room tomorrow.
Back in the 90s.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Christmas miracle on our hands. The Gauntlet is the first true platforming level with Crash since Wizards and Lizards. Let me give this game a trophy. Now that I've given the game its trophy, let's talk about level 11. It's a medieval-themed level. There's moving pillars, a bonus round, a death route, wizards, and guards with shields. There's a good chunk of obstacles scattered about, and there are so many nitros again. Par for the course on that. I'm running out of things to say because the levels are more or less the same. And on top of that, every level is either orange or gray. Newsflash, there's more than 2 colors! Yes, they use the other colors, but they use orange and gray way too often, and it's a major turnoff for me. Wow, I sounded like Scott the Woz for a second there. Other than that, this level is pretty good. Next one.
Back in the 90s.
You know, for a warp room that consists of fire, there's an awful lot of water. In Tsunami, we navigate through some boats and platforms as Coco, then we ride a scooter while running away from a giant tsunami that's destroying everything in its way. Why is Coco running away from a tsunami on a scooter? Like that sinking feeling, this makes no sense. Oh, you want me to say something about the color scheme in this level? Sorry, but I don't want to sound like a broken record. Oh, and there's a secret path at the end that you can access via the blue gem from Arctic Antics. I have nothing else to say. Well, thankfully we only got 19 of these left.
Back in the 90s.
You ever wanted to play Crash Team Racing, except with very slippery controls, the vehicles are so big it feels like bumper cars, and the whole track is orange and brown? Well, that's Smokey and the Bandicoot. Nothing else to say other than what I already said. Well, except for take 2 separate attempts. One to get the crystal for winning the race, and another to break all the boxes. This makes the level unnecessarily tedious. Inching up to every box very slowly because of these awkward controls is the most irritating thing I've ever done in any game. More irritating than completing Crash Bash 200%. You know what? Can I just cancel this series so I can go play CTR instead?
No.
What do you mean, no?
You have to keep going.
Oh, come on, just for a week.
Absolutely not.
Oh, for the love of Saint Nick.
Back in the 90s.
Well, we're back inside the Atmosphere. In a frozen tundra. In a fire warp room. This game was combining fire and ice before Sonic Boom did. That game was also trash. In Eskimo Roll, we roll around inside tubes, down some hills, avoid Dingodyle's attacks in 2 separate locations, and platform across moving platforms. I never thought they could combine platforming with vehicles, but I was wrong. Instead of gray, the level is now white, with a little bit of blue, and sometimes gray. Good lord, riding a 1-horse open sleigh, this is getting ridiculous. Let's just get out of here. On to level 15.
Back in the 90s.
Vehicle number 8, the Copter Pack. This thing is like Crash 2's jetpack, except more slippery and more awkward. As we struggle to navigate across, you'll realize that Traveler's Tales remembered what warp room this was. There's red and orange everywhere. Well, at least it's not gray. After the vehicle part, we return to platforming, and wow, this level is long. I'm not even including the bonus round when I say that this level is just too long. Yeah, there's a lot of good platforming emulating Warp, but it's really long. With our 15 crystals, we can proceed to our 3rd boss. Whenever we finish this level. Ah, there we go. Boss 3 introduces us to a new phase. You run away from Crunch while he's throwing fiery rocks at you. About 20 seconds later, and we get vehicle number 9, the mech. Can we stop getting new vehicles, please? Pretty please? Well, anyway, we then spray Crunch with water to cool him off, I guess. Do this 2 more times and the fight is over. We are now down to 1 elemental and 2 warp rooms. Wait, what?
Back in the 90s.
Starting off the 4th warp room with Avalanche, we get Coco's last level where she is platforming. There's a collection of platforms we have to navigate across to get to the bonus platform, along with spinning away skiers and penguins. Then we briefly get to see Coco skate across ice while avoiding an abundance of nitros. After all of this, the level concludes with a downhill slalom challenge, where Coco rides vehicle number 10, the snowboard. Pass through all the gates and you'll be rewarded with a gem at the end of the slope. Oh, and you hold B to go faster and press A to jump. I forgot to mention that in Tsunami. Sorry about that. Anyway, nothing else to say about this level other than more white and gray, so on to the next level.
Back in the 90s.
Oh cool, we get to start today's level on monkey bars. I liked these bits in Crash 2 and 3, so I'm down. Alright, let's speed this up a bit. What? How is this so freaking slow? Hold on.
2 hours later.
Okay, now that we're finally done with that segment, we can move on to more vehicles. Well, technically we're back inside the mech, so it's not a new vehicle per se. However, we are using it for the first time in a level, and its main attack is shooting Wumpa Fruit instead of spraying water, so we'll count it as vehicle number 11. This thing aims like crap. I can never figure out if I'm actually gonna hit something, and the nitro abundance doesn't help. Oh, and how's this for something that makes absolutely no sense? If you're moving, the mech jumps normally. However, if you're standing still, it has to wind up a jump. Why? It's confusing. I found most of my deaths being attributed to this garbage. I just want to end this level. Thankfully, it's over and we can take a break from vehicles. Oh, what the fuck?
Back in the 90s.
Is there a draft in here?
Alright, we have yet another vehicle to play with only once. Vehicle number
12.
Coco's ship. In Crash Steroids, the task is a bit unclear. You need to shoot down these space stations, but how you're supposed to is not explained. Well, Aku Aku does say something at the beginning, but you can barely hear what he says. What you're supposed to do is shoot down the red shield generator surrounding each station, then shoot down the stations. And just like Tornado Alley and That Sinking Feeling, you're doing all this while avoiding kamikaze NPCs. This is the last level where we play as Coco in the main campaign. Goodbye for now, Coco. We'll see you after Christmas.
Back in the 90s.
I don't want to do this. I have to, don't I? Well, it starts in the sub. And there's a whole bunch of enemies and nitros that fly out of nowhere. Anything else I need to say about this level has already been said in Seashell Shenanigans. I hate underwater levels. End of story. Next.
Back in the 90s.
More monkey bars?
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Well, once we get through all the monkey bars, the level returns to traditional platforming, and there are no vehicles at all. Thank you. Wuthering Heights is a pretty good looking level. Traveler's Tales finally figured out there's more than 2 colors. I like this level. At certain times I consider this one to be my favorite in the game. The colors splash out, for the most part, and the obstacles make for a pretty challenging level. I like it. Now let's get to the final elemental of the game, and the 4th boss. Crunch is a giant genie? Sure, he's a giant genie. You shoot him down where Aku Aku indicates the opening. There's 4 different areas of Crunch you have to shoot while dodging his attacks in the process. This fight is actually very simple once you figure out what you're supposed to do. Just follow Aku Aku's directions. He'll show you where to shoot. Just don't stay in one place or you'll get shot down almost immediately. Anyway, we beat Crunch again, get the Fruit Bazooka, and move on to the final warp room. The endgame is approaching.
Back in the 90s.
I get the feeling the series is gonna crash and burn. Yeah, that really sucked. This level takes place almost where That Sinking Feeling does. An exploding island, complete with an active volcano shooting ashes everywhere. This would have been a perfect level for the 3rd warp room instead of rolling around in a tundra. But I digress. This level has a death route, and it might just be the hardest one. Not due to the route itself, but the checkpoint that was placed so far back. There's plenty of room for error between that checkpoint and the death route platform. Why do I bring this up? Well, in Crash 2 and 3, if you reach the death route then die, you can go back without the fear of losing it during the regular level. Such was not the case in the PAL regions, and this became known as a region-based difficulty. In Wrath, it doesn't matter, because if you die at all, anywhere outside the death route, regardless of reaching it or not, you'll lose that platform. This is absolutely frustrating and rancid. Why is this game always constantly undoing everything the original trilogy did to make it so popular? It makes no sense. Once you somehow manage to acquire the red gem in the death route, you can return to Banzai Banzai to get not only the bonus gem from there, but also the Super Body Slam, another useless ability from Warped. Perfect. Did I mention this is useless? Anyway, let's blow this candy cane stand.
Back in the 90s.
Alright, I'm liking Gold Rush so far. That is, of course, until we get to our
13.
and final vehicle, which is a handcar. You push X to make it go faster, then press A to leap up and break any boxes over your head. Thank God we're done with vehicles. Oh, wait. Oh, and there's also a lot of monkey barring, and I do stress, a lot. Seriously, it takes up a majority of this level that drones on for so long. And Gold Rush has a death route containing the final colored gem, which is the yellow one. Collecting it allows us to get the bonus gem from Compactor Reactor. Getting that only takes about 20 seconds. Gold Rush takes about 8 minutes to complete. Take away the bonus round and death route, the level is still about 5 or 6 minutes long. Majority of that is due to the monkey bar sections. I mean, this is just absolutely tedious, especially if you die. Well, after 6 hours of doing monkey bars and avoiding sticks of dynamite, we collect the crystal and 2 gems. Only 3 levels left until we confront Cortex.
Back in the 90s.
I'ma get medieval on your ass.
How many more levels involving vehicles are there? Medieval Madness is another Atmosphere level, and this one is actually not too bad. There's just one glaring problem, and it's the same problem every level has. It's really orange and gray. Seriously, there are hundreds of other colors you can use! Also, why is the music the same as the Gauntlet? We were doing great with having different music in each level until now. Okay, putting those nitpicks aside, this level is otherwise pretty fun. There's some hills you get to roll down at fast speeds, and there's a lot of nitros that you have to evade. Wait. You know what? I take back what I said. This level sucks. It's too long, there's too much platforming, and Tiny Tiger. Need I say more?
Back in the 90s.
I wish I could say this is the end of the calendar, but sadly, it isn't. We start off with some more monkey bars. Oh yeah, thanks for this troll, by the way. Traditional platforming, then go back inside the droid void mech. This time we're running away from a giant firewall, while listening to some funky music. There's a couple obstacles you have to avoid, but nothing too major. Oh, FYI, we're using the mech for the rest of this level. Thankfully, after this chase scene, the level is only about a minute away from ending. The platforming is just like how it was at the beginning of the level, except now in the mech, so there's really nothing new here. Well, we made it through 24 levels, and there's only 6 left. We're getting close, guys. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. I'll see you after you finished opening your presents.
Back in the 90s.
Honestly, I wasn't expecting you to put this video on your family TV. I thought you would put on a virtual fireplace accompanied with hours of Christmas music, but alright. Let's talk about Cortex Vortex. So this level is the last main level in the game, aka the last one that contains a crystal. This level also contains a lot of platforming, a bonus round, a green gem route, and hey look, it's the pushing dude from Crash 2! Honestly, if the green gem route didn't have a boatload of nitros, I would think this level was the best. Now, many of you will disagree, but that's okay. My favorite level in this game is always changing. That is, if there's something for me to like in the levels. Anyway, we got our last crystalline pair of gems, so now let's go confront Dr. Cortex. That's what you think. As it turns out, crunch time involves you avoiding traps and hazards set off by the elementals. Once Crunch is tired, you shoot him with the bazooka. Then he'll punch Cortex into the arena, and you spin into him. Do this 3 more times without dying 1,000 times like I did, and the game is over. Or is it? Like Warped, the game doesn't necessarily end after beating Cortex. There's 5 more levels to access, all of which require time relics in order to be accessed. But there's a faster way to do this. I'll show you what it is tomorrow. Now go and enjoy that dry turkey. And save the neck for me.
Back in the 90s.
So in order to access the secret warp room, we need to pick up some time relics, but we can do this another way. Bear with me for a second as I take in my new name. There we go. So after doing that, we can access the last 5 levels. Let's start with Nighttime. Nighttime features 2 gems and a time relic. Also, we're playing as Coco in the Gauntlet at nighttime. Really, whatever I have to say about this level would be the same as the Gauntlet. I could just copy and paste the script I wrote for that level and there would be no difference. Regardless, it's still a bit challenging because Coco can't double jump or spin repeatedly, so it makes for interesting platforming. But not interesting enough because there's nothing generally new. At least Coco can run, right?
Back in the 90s.
Ah yes, this level. I have just as much to say about this level as what you need to do to beat it. Nothing. I'm not even joking when I say you can put your controller down and still win the race. How lazy do you have to be to do something as dumbfounded as this? I mean, just... I have no words. I have nothing to say. Do you know what to say? 'Cause I don't.
Back in the 90s.
So, this is different. Level 28 is kinda like Rings of Power. Correction, a broken version of Rings of Power. The race itself is pretty easy. Getting through the rings and breaking all the boxes in the process is a different story. However, that's not to say the level isn't fun. It kinda is. Plus, no gray, so that's always a pleasant surprise. Other than that, there's really nothing else to say about this level. I'm serious, I really have nothing else to say. I'm sorry, but when you play a game where you're doing the same thing over and over again, it becomes harder and harder to say something different from the day before. Well, let's hope level 29 will give us something new. Spoiler alert, it doesn't.
Back in the 90s.
Great! More Atmosphere! Except now we're in space. There's really nothing eventful in this level. There's a lot of branching paths and nitros, but stepping outside of that, the rest of the level is... how do I say this? Bland. Yeah, bland. Just blue platforms placed on meteors that may or may not be heading towards Earth. What's not to love? Have you noticed a pattern with these bonus levels? No? Well, I'll tell you. They're boring! Come on, level 30. Do something that'll impress me. Well, I spoke too soon.
Back in the 90s.
In our final level of the game, we play as Coco on her snowboard. Force of Nature takes place in another frozen tundra. This time, the trees are decorated with Christmas lights. That's cute. It's like they knew I was doing this series. Christmas trees aside, this level is, I'm not gonna lie, kinda rancid. The jumping almost never works, Coco's hitbox is tiny, there's nitros everywhere, and holy night, we've already gone through 21 other levels that had a vehicle. This isn't a platformer! Honestly, I have nothing else to say. Help me out here, Michael.
No, I don't want to be in your dumb video. Go away.
Alright, cool. Well, we are now into the final day of the Wrathvent Calendar. Let's finish this game tomorrow.
Back in the 90s.
Well, this is kinda anticlimactic. Similar to Warped, nothing really changes in the final boss fight. In fact, the only thing that changes is the ending, which involves the station exploding, Cortex losing control of Crunch, the Bandicoots fleeing, and Cortex and Uka Uka left stranded on an ice block in the middle of nowhere. Little did fans know that this ending would be the precursor to Twinsanity. So, here we are, the end of the series. Let me start by saying I had a 3D blast, no pun intended, coming back to this game after a long time. For the most part, I thought Wrath as a whole was an okay game. I still think Twinsanity is better, but Wrath is also fine. Back in 2017, I was just going along with most of the criticism that surrounded this game. I never really sat down and actually put time and effort into what I thought about it. You could tell the last time I reviewed it was pretty brief and it barely told the audience anything. The game has okay graphics, ugly models, no real engaging replay value, mediocre bosses, and way too many vehicles. However, that's not to say Wrath is a bad game. Believe me, I played Crash Purple and Boom Bang. Very recently, I stated in my Tag Team Racing review that this game is more tolerable. Well, heading into 2020, I still stand by that. Wrath is not good, but it isn't bad either. It's okay. Would I recommend this game? Honestly, no. You have the original trilogy, CTR, Bash, Insane, Nitro Fuel, Twinsanity, and Titans at your disposal. Why would you settle on Wrath? Instead, I'll say if you want to see what it's like, sure, give it a try. I would sooner play this than Nitro Kart any given day. So, what would be next for the channel? Well, reviews will return, as well as Mario Kart Retrospective, so look forward to that. There will also be a new series that, as of now, doesn't have a name. I'll be sure to update you guys when I have more on that. There's also something else I have in the back seats, but I might not be able to start on it until 2021. Either way, the channel will still be getting some fresh stuff. Let's plays, reviews, vlogs, and unboxings are all the ideas I have in mind. But for now, only time will tell. Thank you to everybody who watched this series at some point or another. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas, and I hope you accomplished your resolutions for 2019. This is Junior Natural 24, signing off for the last time this year. See you in 2020.